Fish friends, welcome back to Steve's Fish Room. We are taking a field trip again and going to one of my other upstairs display tanks. This is just a 10-gallon with, it's primarily a species tank, although you'll note there's one inler in there. The inlers were the first fish in this tank. This tank is about 2.5 years old. And I had a group of endlers and just some males, and they kind of passed on. And this one guy is just still going. He's actually one of the few fish that has earned a name from my children. He's rainbow. Anyway, the other fish are killifish. They are Fundulopanchax, Gardneri, innidere, and they are from Nigeria, probably. There's some contesting around where innidere is, but anyway, these are Gardneri killifish. And I started with a trio from a local hobbyist, and that group quickly rose to about 12. But then after I had 12, I didn't see any new fry. They were just able to find them and eat them. And so I rehomed 6 with fellow hobbyists in the St. Louis area. And now suddenly I have fry again. And so it's a permanent plant setup in terms of killifish breeding, just meaning there are a lot of plants in there. And these are switch spawners. They're continuous spawners, so they lay eggs pretty much every day. There are 3 males and 3 females, not including fry. And so you just get fry just kind of popping up because they have good places to hide. Aside from the bloodworms that I'll feed the fish a couple of times during this video, I also feed small bug bites and every day some live baby brine shrimp. And so that helps to ensure that the fry get some good nutrition. You can actually see a few up there. Just saw one in the upper right hand corner. Anyway, this is a Walstad setup, just like a previous video I did on my 20 high with the Apistogramma alacrina cichlids. That means that it has a soil substrate capped with just a little bit of sand. So I started with about 1.5 inches of soil and maybe not even 1/2 inch of sand on top to keep it in place. And it's just Miracle-Gro Organic Choice potting soil. I don't do anything special to it. Just put it in there, get it wet, cover it with sand, slowly fill the tank up, and let the filters run and just let it do its thing for a little while. Get some plants in there as soon as possible. Like I've said in previous videos, I'm not good enough to don't have the dexterity to get plants in there that stay in there when I add water. So I plant after, and it's a big mess, but everything clears up. You just give it a few days. I fishless cycle all my tanks, so there's nothing to stop you from putting a little bit of ammonia in there, getting that ammonia up to 5 parts per million, I think, and letting it just, go for a few weeks. You can always add some substrate or filter media from another tank to speed it up. Anyway, this tank gets about 4 hours of light in the morning, and then the lights go off for about 4 hours, and then they come back on for 6 hours because I'm home more in the evening. I have my tanks go on, and they're on until 11:30. But they can't get that much light or they would start to get some algae problems. Anyway, here you can see a little bit close up, a couple of females, and you can see the males have a lot more color. I mean, the females really look just kind of like enormous guppies, and the males have all the color they show off for the females. Killifish, these are not annual killifish. A lot of killies only live for about a year. They don't even live that long in the wild because they hatch from eggs that were laid the previous rainy season. But these guys can just stay all the time. Apparently they live for about 3 years. I've had these guys for a good year. Their eggs can be out of water for some time, and then when the rains come again in the wild, they'll hatch. In the aquarium, the eggs, if they just stay wet, hatch in roughly a week or 2. Doesn't take very long. I don't provide anything special in this tank for that. I have pulled out pairs before and put them in a 5-gallon with some spawning mops and just let them stay in there for a couple of weeks and pull them out, and you'll get some fry that way if you want to get some more fry. But I really like just having a heavily planted tank, and I just let it go wild. There's some guppy grass that gets going in there. I've pulled it back pretty recently. Also, it's often completely covered by salvinia. I've also pulled out, 2/3 of that pretty recently, so we could get some good light and a good video. You'll hear things like killies don't like light. That's certainly not true of these guys. I've heard, other people say they'll only eat live food. These guys will eat absolutely anything. They are tremendous jumpers. You absolutely must have your tank well covered. There can't be even a space to get your pinky through. So everything on this tank is covered. You can just use some bits of filter material if you want to stuff any gaps. But you absolutely have to have everything covered. I've even had them jump out a couple of times, so I have the top open just to feed them. So they'll go right out. Anyway, there's an Amano shrimp in there as well. I don't know how many are still in there because you almost never see them, even though it's only a 10-gallon. I put 3 in there a year plus ago, and every now and then I see, 1 or 2 of them out poking around. So this guy came out just for the video. Actually, I haven't seen them in quite a while. In the tank, there are a lot of crypts. Those have really spread to fill out. There's also, you can see, he's actually sitting on a Nubius leaf. That's a nice plant. It's attached to the little piece of driftwood that's in there that kind of hides the filter and heater. I do heat the tank. It's actually not completely necessary for killifish if you have kind of a normal room temperature, but I like to have the stability because the room kind of bounces up and down, especially in the winter. It gets pretty cool. I like the stability of a heater, and that also ensures that the Amano shrimp are happy. They're great algae eaters. Unfortunately, Amanos aren't typically bred in captivity. They require a saltwater stage for their larvae. But the Gardneri are quite easy to keep. They're a really fun fish. It's just really exciting always to see fry in the tank. The kids love to point them out. Other plants in the tank, I've got a little bit of Ludwigia. There's a Panatophydia fern there kind of on the left in front of the driftwood. Getting sizable Java fern on the far right. I have some small dwarf Anubias that are just actually sitting right on top of the substrate. They are kind of a carpet, but they don't really root very well into the substrate. But the other plants root very well. And have really filled. In fact, you can see down along the bottom that there are just roots everywhere, which is exactly what you want. There's a little Savosser tang over on the far right. I actually don't have any Java moss in this tank, which is kind of unusual. And then Salvinia is a floating plant. It's great. Helps keep them calm to have some cover overhead. It's just another place fry can hide, and it's great for taking nutrients out of the tank. Also, as a Walstad, the plants really do most of the work for me. So this tank just gets a 25% water change about every other week. Anyway, great fish. Thanks for watching.